Hello, Nigel Lee, teaching professional at Worthing Golf Club. One of my specialities is on putting. I've been fascinated with putting for over 40 years. I was very fortunate to spend a lot of time with a putting guru called Harold Swash, who gave me an insight in how to putt better. Harold was a member of Hillside Golf Club and holds a record of playing 3 rounds of golf and having 18 single putts. Have a think about that, and that shows you how good he was. This Yes putter was designed by him. His first putters were line putters. So here's a few insights. The first thing I think people get incorrectly is that they spend more time thinking about the misses, and when you look at some of the percentages from 6 feet, putting is about, from 6 feet, you only hole about just over 50%, and that's even on the tour. So you've got to think about that there is a higher rate of misses than there is successes. One of the persons I spoke to, who was the leader of the putting stats for 1 year in '94, a guy called Peter Fowler, we went up to him asking some questions to get an insight into putting, and the first thing he said, miss lots of greens, be a great chipper, great pitcher and great bunker player. So when you hit a lot of greens, you should expect a high number of putts, 30 and above. People think the more greens they hit, the lower the putting average will be. But here's some things to me about putting that are key. When you're taking your address position, it's important to get a feeling that your arms are free. It's very good to put within inside 2 sticks where you can actually see if there's any too much movement of the putter on its path line, moving 2 in, 2 out. So I'd always recommend 2 alignment sticks, put them parallel, give yourself a gap, and then just start to practice, even with your eyes closed, trying to keep the putter within that gap. So that all the time you're trying to keep that putter from not over moving and not having too much face rotation. A famous putter, a guy in the 30s, 1930s, a chap called Paul Runyon that I met at a conference in San Francisco. He had a grip, and he talks about having no wrist movement. His hands were more at 45 degrees facing outwardly. That was his putting style. There is so many different putting styles, but to me the major thing to do when you're looking at your putting is to have no wrist breakdown through contact. What I like to do to improve my contact is have to have a face that's smaller, so that there is 2 bits of blue tack on either side of the centre to make it smaller, so that when you are putting, you're hitting the sweet spot. You're listening to the sound of music of golf, that pure contact. And on putting, especially when you get a putter of this shape, you can actually hear the difference between a misstrike and the correct strike. So to me, I would advocate putting using those 2 bits of blue tack, especially when you're indoors on a flat surface. So have a little go with this first, and then when you start to get that building up, put a ball there, and then just see if you can copy the same movement, and especially with that blue tack, you will get some centered contacts. Centered contact is very, very important. And then when you start to get that centered contact, if my filmer can just come down from down the line here, what I've done is I've put a stick that's behind the ball, and now I would then start to take it into a routine. I think players who putt have a routine. Do you decide to mark the ball, not mark the ball? Do you decide to line the writing up or some form? That's entirely up to you. Putting is very, very personal. But what I would also kind of do is build that routine in your practice. Don't just go down the putting green and hit 3 balls from one spot. Think about when you get on the first hole with the first major putt from 4 feet, remember your routine is in there, so practice your routine before you go out and play. But this is to help you kind of pick the line that you've chosen. I use this a lot when we're doing contoured puts where the ball's either moving left to right or right to left. Get into a routine where you're thinking of the line you want the ball to start. Place the ball so it's in the centre of the fence. I see so many players who have the ball off the toe of the putter. Get yourself into a comfortable position where your arms can swing and then you can see how the putter's moving back and through. Not getting any of that wrist breakdown. When I do my next video, I'll give you a few putting drills which will be useful for you so that you can take that on in an indoor facility and an outdoor facility.